sorry, the number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording.
Are you listening?
Hello there,
I'm Darius,
and I'm Sam.
and welcome to the Oxfordshire Youth podcast. This podcast is by young people, for young people, just to talk about the things that we care about.
We're here to give you a voice, whether that's the voice of your creativity, your professionalism, or just something that you're doing that you feel needs to be spoken about.
And if you want to get in touch and actually get on this podcast, you really can.
We don't bite. I mean, we promise.
And we promise. But the real question here is, are you listening?
I mean, are you listening?
Are you listening?
Are you listening?
Let's just get on into the podcast. Welcome back to the Black Lives Matter mini-series. There are some themes within this mini-series that may be upsetting to you. If it is triggering to you, themes of racism, bullying, and various other things, please we implore you to listen to another one of our podcasts that will be much more beneficial to you. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the Black Lives Matter mini-series. Let's get into it right now. Hey there, it's Darius here. Welcome back to the Oxfordshire Youth podcast. Today marks the start of the Black Lives Matter mini-series, and boy, am I excited. We will be talking all things from racism in the UK and in America, systemic racism, allyship, and how we all reacted to the brutal, disgusting murder of George Floyd. On this mini-series, we want to have a really rounded view. So we will be speaking to some young Black people, some organisations, and some allies, because personally, I believe it's so important to have that rounded view. Racism is such a massive topic, and that's kind of why we decided to do this mini-series instead of it just being one singular episode. It is so important that we have this conversation, especially now. It's been so important for such a long time, but I'm so glad now that we are choosing and deciding to have these conversations. This is not just a Black issue. This is a humanity issue. We all need to educate ourselves. And we have so much further to go. So, as you all will have known, that the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement happened right in lockdown after the brutal murder of George Floyd and countless others. Our societies, cultures, and histories have been built on the backs of many slaves and immigrants. So to see more Black people, Black men, Black women, Black brothers and sisters and siblings being murdered brutally in the street in broad daylight is so hard to see. We are going to be extremely truthful. I'm going to be extremely truthful. You're going to hear some of my thoughts, feelings, opinions, experiences of racism that actually happened to me in school, in the street, right here in the UK, the place that so many of us call home. Today is the beginning of the Young, Gifted and Black section, where I'll be speaking to three amazing young Black people. Steve Basanti, which we'll hear just in a little bit, Sasha Johnson, and Faustine. I can't wait for you to hear so much more from them. After this first part of the Black Lives Matter mini-series, there'll be two more parts. The second one will be called You Can't Take Our Youth Away. I'll be speaking to Mandala Theatre Company about how they are challenging systemic racism. And lastly, but by no means least, the last part of this mini-series will be called Fantastic Allies and Where to Find Them. We'll be speaking to so many amazing young people. We will even have a collaboration episode with the 0 to 100 podcast, which I am so excited for you all to see. On this podcast, we'll be chatting to men, women, people from the LGBTQ plus community, people from the disabled community, whether they are Black, African, Caribbean, whether they are South Asian, East Asian, from Latin American countries. We will be speaking to them all because we want to get into allyship, why they are allies, and deeper into racism, because there is so much that needs to be unpacked. Also, we really love to talk, so some of these episodes will actually be split into different parts just for your listening pleasure, so you're not listening for a super long time, because we really got into it because there is so much that needs to be spoken on. And obviously, if you are listening or watching, please do remember that Black lives really do matter. Black Lives Matter is not just another hashtag. It really is not. And I know that on social media, it's great. Like, everyone's like, woo, yay. You know, we're supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and putting our hashtags and everything. It's not just that. This is people's lives. This is people's, like, businesses. This is, to make it really simple, this is my life. I've always been Black, and I've always been on the receiving end of racism. But before I get too much into it, because I could, give you everything right now, we're going to jump straight into the first episode with Steve Basanti. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the very first episode of the Black Lives Matter mini-series. Before we get chatting and get into the conversations, which is going to be absolutely amazing, I just want to say something and address something. The UK is not innocent, and it never has been and never will be. There have been so many times, exactly just like George Floyd, like Breonna Taylor, like Tony McDade, like so many of the high-profile cases in America that have happened in the UK, some of which haven't even seen the light of day. Some of those involve Sarah Reid, Sheku Bayou, Leon Patterson, Sean Rigg, and probably the biggest one of note in the UK is Mark Duggan. The UK has never been innocent in regard to police brutality, in regard to racism in schools, in work, in our policing systems, in any system that exists in the UK. There has never been a time where it has not existed. And it's very much something that we need to continue to have these conversations on. I'm extremely grateful to have this platform to be able to speak about this with so many amazing people that I care about, that I've met throughout my journey. But yeah, we are going to speak and have some amazing conversations with three amazing young people. They're all in business, they're all doing different things creatively. They are extremely gifted. Quote from Elaine Welteroth: "You are not alone. When you exist in spaces that weren't built for you, remember sometimes that just being you is the revolution." Some of these people who I'm going to be speaking to, they are the revolution. They are the change that we all want to be seeing in the world, doing some astounding things.
We want equality, and equality we must get. No justice? No peace. No justice? No peace. No justice? No peace.
And guys, we are joined by the one, the only, Steve Basanti. Hello, how are you?
Yo, what's going on, people? All good. I'm doing great, thank you. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So, I plugged you a little bit earlier, with the drip that I currently have on. If you are not a visual, watcher, then again, you was missing out. But tell me about you, your businesses, your brands, just everything that you're doing.
Sure, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So yeah, as you already know, Steve Basanti. I'm a designer and business owner, you could say. So I just design content for companies, influencers, celebrities sometimes, and also have a clothing line that Victorious is wearing a piece from Cavelli. So I do that with my partner, Shameela, and yeah, there you go. Oh, and the hat. Love to see it. Doing design work and business, and yeah, I used to play basketball, and I just made the transition to business. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Fabulous. See, guys, as I said, like, Steve is amazing, like, next level. Like, what I said, next level. You ain't ready. And the thing is, there are things that he can't even tell you yet that are in the works. And he hasn't even told me, but I just know, because that's the kind of person that he is. Now, yeah. If you can't see him or you can't see me, you probably wouldn't be able to tell from our voices, but we're Black. It's just letting you know. And because of that, everything that's happened in the world recently in regard to Black Lives Matter, in regard to George Floyd's murder and so many other murders, I mean, I guess for us, it's really affected us, but I guess in the world, it's affected the world. How did you react to the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and countless others? How did you and others around you react to that?
Negatively, for sure. It's like, mixed emotions, because it's like this sort of thing is still happening in today's day, when we thought that we've come so far, but obviously we haven't come far enough for this to have been abolished, like to be treated in this sort of way. But you know, you got to take it, because some people react in a negative way, and you know, that can be in, you know, like violence, like, you know, reacting with violence, or not the best way to go around it. You know, what you want to do is act above it and be better, not go and destroy stores and riot and loot, because it doesn't help the situation at all, and it just actually hurts the situation more than it helps.
Definitely.
So yeah, I mean, it's not great. That's the bottom line. It's not great.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
you know, people are doing things in the works to make it better and improve the situation.
Yeah, I think like as long as we are making steps or taking steps towards a brighter future for everyone, I think we are going in the right direction. As scary and as horrible as it is, and the fact that we are still seeing many Black people being murdered, like I sometimes don't even like looking on Instagram or Facebook and just seeing like, oh, another Black person's been killed and another Black person's been killed. It can be like quite draining. Like, how has it been for your mental health?
For me personally, I'm the type of guy I don't personally think that I am racially profiled, although I like to think that I can go out of my day and, you know, act how I want to act normally, and people aren't going to judge me. But the reality is that it's not true. That's just what I like to think, right? The reality is that I could be walking down the street one time and a lady crosses the road because she thinks I could be dangerous, or, you know, it's happened. But I don't like to think like the world is a bad place and people are evil. I like to think that people are miseducated, and you know, it's like speaking a foreign language. You know, like people don't understand. If you don't speak that language, how can you understand that person?
Yeah.
So when someone doesn't understand the topic, understand the person, understand what someone stands for, how do you expect them to act in the correct way? You can't.
Exactly.
You can't really be mad at them. You just gotta put things in place that's gonna educate that person to then act a certain way. You know, so that's what I think. If that sort of answers the question.
Okay, so in that respect then, what experiences of racism have you personally, if you're okay with sharing them, have you seen in the UK?
What have I seen, or have I witnessed?
Experience, like been through or seen, either one.
Well, the common one, being called the N-word, by white kids and stuff when I was growing up. Being, you know, put into segregation, whites and blacks, and being put aside, being, oh, you can't go in this room because they just make something up. But you look around and it's just like black kids not in the same room as the other white kids and stuff like that. Or, you know, favoritism, which is disguised also as racism, but people like showing other races, you know, better things, or giving them better opportunities. But you just got to overcome. I think it gives you tough skin, and in this world you need tough skin in order for you to, because the things that are out there that can be so like, you know, displeasing and like can hurt you if you haven't got tough skin. So you just gotta take it with a pinch of salt, and man, just keep coming with the punches, rolling, just keep going. Just keep going. That's how I see it, man.
Yeah,
How about
definitely.
you? How about you? Have you experienced anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, kind of probably more than I'd even like to admit. So it's like school, I was bullied throughout the whole of it. So the fact that there was points where I had to educate my own teachers, telling them why children walking around making whipping noises and pretending I'm a slave was wrong. So when you have to educate your own teacher why it's wrong, there's like a big issue there. But then, like, you know, there was times where I was, as you said, segregated, completely pushed out. People didn't want to be friends with me. I guess that there's also the whole kind of colorism thing, light skin versus dark skin kind of thing, because anyone in my classes who were of lighter skin or were of a lighter complexion were accepted. I just wasn't. I was just like, okay, you dark, bye. And I guess that is a whole conversation within itself about like how like black people of different shades are treated differently. And I guess like it's it was challenging, but as you said, like, I have a very thick skin. Like, someone can say something to me now and I'm just there like, yeah, and what? Like, nice opinion, but it doesn't really mean anything because it's just someone's opinion. But yeah, it's just a process. And I feel like most Black people, most like people of color have all been through some kind of racist experience at some point in their life, which is, I guess, like, changed their view of the world and like developed like their viewpoint on reality. Because I think when you're younger, you look at the world like, oh, everything's great, everything's cool. And then when you see like a parent pulling their white child away from you because you're Black, and you're like, why is this happening? Like, I'm 5. Like, what is this? It's a very difficult thing, to try and like get your head around.
Yeah, I mean, there's many situations where we've all witnessed racism at its finest. It's now being broadcasted, it's being filmed, it's being put all over social media. So no one can tell you that even if you're not Black, you can still see that racism is happening from either you're Mexican, there's racism happening, and it's sad that it's still happening in this time and time and day. But yeah, all you can do is be a good example and just to be successful. That's the best way to do it. Be successful, be a successful Black person, be a successful Mexican person, Spanish, whatever. Just be successful in your own way, and you'll be all right.
I mean, and Steve, bruv, you is doing that. Like, you up in here being like ridiculously successful. Like, you doing all of the moves, moving all of the levels, and I'm consistently proud of you.
Thank you. And you, bro. Keep it up. Keep smashing.
Thank you.
No problem.
So what, now this is a question that, when I brought it to like the committee of like, all of the young people who helped to plan, these podcasts, kind of what questions were they kind of like scared in a way to like ask Black people, like how do I like help or support my Black friends and family during this situation? Like, if someone asked that to you, how would you respond to them?
First of all, I'd say don't panic. First of all, don't do it because you feel like you have to. Do it because you want to. That's two differences. Because if you do it because you feel like you have to, it doesn't change the situation. It doesn't actually change how you feel about the situation. And you could still feel the same way, still have the same feelings about, Black people, but you're only doing it because of social pressure. So forget that. Don't do it because of social pressure. And that's why I say, like, on social media, people act the wrong way. And for someone that's confused on how to act and what to ask, when they see things on Instagram and people saying, if you don't post this, you're racist, how do you think that person who's confused feels about the situation now? Because it's going to influence their decision in a negative way. And then they're going to be portrayed as racist or as, uneducated. And all they're simply trying to do is know how to go about it. But then social media just completely ruins their hope of doing that. So I'd advise them, first of all, don't go to social media for help. Just go to speak to your Black friend and just simply sit down and ask them, can you inform me on like what it's like and how I can help? Simple. Like, don't take to social media if you're unsure, because you may receive backlash. Unless you're confident in what you're doing, go for it. But yeah, that would be my advice. Go to speak to your Black friends personally before you take to social media. Because you may have good intentions, but social media can twist that and make you look like villain.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like social media is one of those places. It's like a blessing and a curse. Like, there's lots of good stuff on there, but there's also lots of bad stuff, lots of misinformation, lots of things that are going to make you feel horrible about yourself. So I would say, like, definitely like speak to like your Black friends, your Black family, and actually like speak to them about it. Also, like, there are books and stuff out there. There are things that you can like genuinely pick up and read, or like listen to podcasts like this one. There are so many things that you can genuinely like just do to just even start having that conversation. Or even if you like learn like a little bit, just start having conversations within your circle about like, oh, why have we acted like this towards someone, or if someone does at some point call you out on something that you've done to them in the past, don't so much be like defensive, like, oh wait, no, I didn't do that. Like,
Yeah.
accept that you did it and kind of learn from it, because kind of denying that you did it kind of is like denying that you have ever been in the wrong, which isn't the right standpoint to be on. It's like, okay, I did something wrong. Like, let's be real, we've all done things wrong. Like, we are human. It's natural. If we've never done anything wrong in our lives, like, we lying. But it's like, we need to take what we've done wrong, look at it, learn from it, and be like, okay, I've learned from this, let's not do this again to anyone else, and just move on, grow and learn from it. Because I think that's, I guess for some people, that's an issue, because they sometimes don't see what they've done as like as like a problem or an issue.
No,
So it's kind of like addressing that.
Yeah, because think about this, like someone that has done something that's deemed, like, let's say me and you, we see this person acting a certain type of way online, and we say, yo bro, you've acted out of order on this occasion. But they don't see that they've acted out of order. They think it's normal, because in their household they speak with their parents in a certain language that is freeform, and it's like free for all. It's like there's no filter. And so when it's tolerated in the household, when you go out into the world, it just flows from your mouth, and you know who knows what to say, and you know who knows what not to say. Like, some kids just grew up in an environment where their parents allow this sort of, communication, this sort of behavior, and that's what happens. Like, if me and you have this conversation about football today, and I say, Victoria, you should definitely be a footballer, and then I speak all day to you about you becoming a footballer. Tomorrow you're going to go back home to a household where they don't talk about football. That's completely gone. So if you're not practicing that, you're not going to, this is a waste of time. So that's what it's like. People at home in a racist household practicing racism, when they come out to the real world and someone says you shouldn't say that, they're going to go back home to their racist household and continue to do the same thing. So it comes from the home foundations, and that's how you change foundations.
Definitely. That's definitely what's needed. Changing the foundations, changing education, not just in the education system, but in like your home education as well, because education is not just limited to what you learn in school.
My skin colour should not be my death sentence.
So what are some questions that you wish that like non-black people of colour or white people would stop asking you? Like, I know I have a few that I wish they'd stop asking me, but what are some that you wish that you would stop asking you?
Let me hear yours. You go, take it away.
Okay, mine. Okay, so some of mine are, I heard this song the other day. Oh, it's got the N-word in it. Can I say it? No. No. Like, you just can't. Like, just zip your mouth. Shut up. Another one is, oh, Darius, I'm almost as dark as you. You're not.
Oof.
Like, you're just not.
Yeah.
And it's like, there are like so many, and I've had them said to me in school. I've had them said to me like in all various different places, which is kind of mad. Another one, which again, there's this whole thing about the hyper-sexualisation of young black people, full stop, like whether you're male or female, it's just a thing, but it is seen more for women. But I remember being in school, and I think I was like 12, and this girl approached me, never spoken to me in my life, and she was like, hey Darius, hi. And I'm like, okay, who are you? And she's like, is it true what they say about black men? I'm like, I'm 12, like, girl, step back. So my reply was like, yes, it is true what they say about black men. We are extremely loving and very intelligent. And she was shocked. She was shocked because she was not expecting that. And it's like, we're not just sexual objects. Like, we are so much more than that. Like, I mean, yes, obviously, like, we do the thing, but it's like, we're so much more than that.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a hard one, though. It's tough. I always have, like, mixed emotions on this whole topic, because, I don't know, it's just difficult, because when you look at racism as a whole, like, is it racist that I say most or all white people drink tea and they have like, is that racist? And then when someone like a white person comes to a black person and says, for example, oh, you must really love chicken, you know, like if someone said to me, oh, you must really love chicken, I wouldn't, my response wouldn't be to get mad and think that they're racist instantly, because they could just be ignorant.
Yeah.
But then that's what I, you know, it's such a sensitive topic, isn't it? Because it's like, what is racist and what is just ignorance? Or is ignorance a class or form of racism? You know, it's
Yeah.
that's like, I just have mixed emotions.
I do agree with you there though, because like there is that kind of stereotype of like all like white British people just drink tea. But then I guess like some of those things don't always come from us. It comes from like what is portrayed. So and the same in regard to like how we're portrayed onto like TV, on like film and stuff. So it's like, if you only ever see like a middle-class white lady drinking tea, that's all you're gonna think about. But then in the same respect, if all you ever see on TV is, you know, like multiple black men being arrested for, you know, multiple different things, you're gonna think, oh, all black men, you know, do this and do that. So I understand from like people's perspectives, like why they have these views, because if that's all you've ever been shown, then you get this idea in your head like, oh, if, you know, I'm walking down the street and it's dark and there's a bunch of like black boys in hoodies, probably should be wary. Whereas that same conversation is different than if it's a bunch of, you know, white boys in hoodies. Like, it's a different kind of conversation, which I've had with people. And
go on.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with people, and they've been like, I don't know why I'm more scared of black men than I am of white men. Like, they will look exactly the same, but if they're black, then I'm more scared. And I'm like, that's based on conditioning, because if you're conditioned to fear black men or conditioned to fear black women, and you're not I mean, I don't think you should be conditioned to fear anyone really, but if that is the case, then, and in the same respect, you'll be conditioned to be more receptive to listening to white voices. So if like a black person tells you something that's wrong, and you probably would dismiss it, but if a white person tells you the exact same thing and says, oh, this is wrong, they'll be like, oh, okay, maybe what I am doing is wrong, which is kind of weird.
I tell you what, you like, here's a little, not a little story, but something I'll say. Me, right, growing up, I would be more cool. I'm black, right? Me, I'd be more scared of coming across a group of white teenagers back when I was growing up than a group of black teenagers.
Yeah.
Because obviously, maybe it's because I'm already black and I don't fear the black man, but my experiences would be getting in altercations with groups of white people. So is it the same thing as a white person coming across a white person and them not being afraid, but then when they come across the opposite, that's the only time they're afraid? Because me being black, I will come across a white group of teenagers and I'd be more shaken than being across with a black group. So what I'm trying to say is that maybe it's not racism, and maybe it's a case of being comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So a white person coming across a bunch of white people, it's like, oh yeah, cool. It's my fellow white friends, they're not gonna harm me. But then when when a white person sees a group of black people, and the white person in their head isn't thinking, oh my gosh, it's black people, they're gonna kill me. They're probably thinking, oh my gosh, it's black people. They probably think that I don't like them. They probably think that I have an issue with them and they might hurt me. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So it's all about the narrative and the perspective on how you look at things. So before you, not you personally, obviously, in general, so before people say something is, that's racist, maybe try and understand, because not everyone thinks in that certain way. Not everyone who is scared of a black person is racist.
Yeah.
There's a white person that's scared of a black person and a white person that's scared of a white person. The white person that's scared of a white person doesn't mean they're racist. They're just scared. They're just a scared person, you know? So yeah, man, racism is very borderline, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The stuff that's
Yeah.
obviously racist, but some things you can't call. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there are definitely like nuanced things that are very hard to pinpoint.
Yeah.
But yeah, any white people listening, we love you. Like, please don't feel offended or anything. We love you. You're great.